Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. What is going on? Welcome back to another unused map here on Battle. Now this is a map that is split into 3 sections and is fairly significant because it's got a desert theme and has 2 bridges, about 8 pillboxes and 1 special little tank. Pathways are indeed a huge thing in Hogs of War, as they usually determine where the player can or cannot walk, or move for that matter, because certain areas, obviously as it is in today's game, pigs cannot walk up absolutely everything. At this point in development, every surface was walkable, I suppose, but as you can see from this aerial view, the main pathways tend to lead to either a vehicle of some kind, a building, or just a better strategical point to then plan your next move. So my assumption is that the player or the team that you play as would start on the far side of the map where you've got that single portion of land, I suppose. I also assume that there was meant to be other buildings because some of the pathways lead to large areas where there doesn't seem to be anything, so that also leads me to believe that this map wasn't 100% complete, but that is left up to speculation. The whole map is actually separated by a small river that runs across the entire length of the map itself, but I tend to ignore that just because nothing has collision at this point, so the river or the water itself is currently solid, so it's difficult to take that into perspective if it doesn't work properly. But you can see where that would have led the player to then use the bridges, and having that as the only route over to the other side, unless they were to utilize whatever character they had that could withstand swimming, so commandos, heroes, or even legends. The interesting thing about this map is that the pathways are 1 or at least 3 solid colours. So you've got the main outline of the path, but then you've just got this like 1 block colour that is used for the pathway. Now the textures in Hogs of War 4 pathways are usually a bit more intricate than that, so this one is extremely simplistic. And of course, as you can see, the huge thing to note is that there are windows placed on the landscape, as well as doors, which would have been the correct height for pigs, but are completely solid. So those windows indicate that these are actually buildings that are built into the landscape. I feel like from the player's perspective, it was difficult to really navigate or position yourself well enough to take your turn, if that makes any sense. Basically, the extremely sharp angles meant that it was difficult for the camera to remain steady or focused enough for you to continue moving and not get confused as to where you are, or at least that's the overall feeling that I had whilst playing this map. You'll also notice that there's a tank here, which I did mention briefly, but it is the only one that is parked on the far side of the map, which is why I feel like the player would have started with this tank and then maybe done something with it. But you also know that I go on about themes a lot with different maps, and this one is different. There's the desert theme, but having those buildings built into the side of the land itself is a bit strange. It's kind of, I don't know what kind of civilization to really pinpoint it as, like maybe Arabian, it's a desert, I don't know. What do you think? Can you be more accurate? Do you know of any actual buildings within history or within, you know, the span of human conquest that have that kind of design? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. But it is interesting to note, and it is completely different to what we know from today's game, which I think is a phrase I say a lot, and I might actually put that on a t-shirt. If you want to have that on the shop, please let me know. But pressing forward with this map's development, and as we can see, it moves into the phase that we know of as being the time when Hogs of War was changing into more of the format that we know of from today, or at least the final release of the game. So we can tell that it made it this far in development, but this is the point where development completely stops, and this map, I'm guessing, was just canned. It didn't make it any further in development, which, to be honest, I'm not too bothered on. This map is different, but it's not something that I would really want in the final game. It might have worked better as a multiplayer map, and I feel like that was perhaps where this map was going, or at least that's what the intention was with it. If it was going to be used in the campaign, it would have been, I don't know, a little bit too difficult. You would have had to be pinpoint with your shots in terms of shells like bazookas and rockets, because you would be able to use that really sharp incline of certain portions of the landscape and utilize that to your advantage. As I said before though, it's a very interesting theme for a map, and having the landscape being used as buildings rather than individual 3D models, it just changes things up, makes it more interesting, and leaves a lot more speculation because, you know, would the pigs have been able to open the doors? Would they have been able to go inside the buildings, inside the landscape itself? I feel like that would have been incredibly complicated because that requires like caving out the 3D landscape and adding detail in there, but I don't feel like the PS1 would have been able to handle that kind of detail, or at least not on this engine. I don't even know what this engine is, but nevertheless, let me know what you think about this map in the comments below. Battle, another unused map, plenty more to come in future, alongside just map development videos and everything else that you've come to expect. But overall, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and can indeed check out other videos. Subscribe if you really want to, and stick around for more. Plenty more to come, and yeah, longer videos as well, because I know this one is a bit shorter than usual. But in the meantime, I will catch you all later for the next one.